welcome to the Coursera for Campus Spotlight webinar, featuring our special guest from Alliance University, who will be sharing insights on how they took their campus learning program online. My name is Laura, and I'm part of the customer marketing team here at Coursera, and I'll be one of your hosts for today. In higher education, leaders like yourselves have risen to the challenges that are a result of the pandemic and are turning the situation into an opportunity, both to make their programs more accessible and also more job and industry ready. We at Coursera are on a mission to transform lives through education and are working with thousands of education partners like you around the world to make this happen. One such special partner is here with us today to share how she is steering her university through this challenging time. Before I introduce our special guest, let me first introduce my team. Bibin, who's head of our customer success for India and Asia Pacific, and Ramya, who is one of our customer success managers as well. Our guest for today's discussion is Dr. Anubha Singh, who is Vice Chancellor of Alliance University. Thank you so much for joining. We're pleased to have you with us today.
On that note, we are going to learn from one of our very special university partners on how their digital learning strategy worked with Coursera for Campus. And that's our special edition for today, the Campus Spotlight with Alliance University. And for that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Bibin Shivas, the head of customer success in India and APAC for Coursera, who's himself been in this space and has done it for more than 20 years. Bibin, over to you for an insightful fireside chat with our guest in the spotlight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramya, for setting the context, and good morning, everyone. I'm hoping that we'll have a wonderful conversation with Dr. Anubha Singh. Welcome, Dr. Anubha, to this webinar. So let me quickly introduce Dr. Anubha. Dr. Anubha is the Vice Chancellor at Alliance University. She holds a PhD from Banaras Hindu University and has held a fellowship during her research. She also earned the prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Memorial Award for Academic Excellence during her post-graduation in linguistics. She is a talented coalition builder and brings significant expertise and rich experience in international development. She has established more than 47 partnerships with reputed universities in 15 countries. With the advent of COVID-19, Dr. Singh was quick to adopt digital learning for her students at Alliance University so that learning never stops. Under her leadership, Alliance was recently recognized as a pioneer in academic digitization and received the E-Lead certification by QS. Welcome, Dr. Anubha, for joining us today and sharing your insights.
Thank you for having me on this platform today, Bibin.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So just to, and we have the slide here put up with the quick highlights of the Alliance program that we've run over the last 3 months. Extraordinary numbers with more than 3,000 plus learners, 22,000 enrollments, 10,000 plus completion. This is such great progress for a program that's just begun 3 months ago, right? So wanted to understand, let's start off with a simple question. How has been your experience with Coursera for Campus, given that I think you were very quick to adopt it, given the shift that we all had to make very quickly. So I'd love to hear your experiences with Coursera for Campus.
Yeah, sure, Bibin. It's hard to believe that when Raghav and Vaibhav visited Alliance to present Coursera for Campus in Q3 of 2019, the world was still normal. We were aware of the novel coronavirus, but it had not yet flipped our daily lives. But then after just in a few months, the need for social distancing forced universities all across the globe to put their entire programs online. What is hard to comprehend here is the speed with which the global pandemic has overturned not only higher ed, but all industries across the board. Even though the regular routines of classroom instruction was interrupted, with many normal activities being put on pause, Alliance University has achieved impressive accomplishments in a short span of time. In light of what has happened over the last few months, we formed alliances and signed up with edtech companies to better share knowledge and improve education. Coursera for Campus has proven especially valuable during this time of extreme disruption. And with this alliance, the learning at Alliance has been going on uninterrupted, and our students continue to learn and flourish in both expected and unexpected ways.
Perfect. Thank you so much for kind of outlining that. So one of the key things that we've been discovering, right? I mean, to make any program like this successful, to actually bring in online platforms like Coursera into a university environment, it is absolutely critical for us to be able to bring in faculty along, right? I mean, they are very critical to ensuring a successful program like this. So what's been the faculty's approach at Alliance for using Coursera as part of their own, pedagogy and their own teaching methodology?
Faculty role is an important factor in the design of online learning environments. In that, of course, various roles can be supported. Uh, at Alliance, well, I have a few slides that I can take you through.
Absolutely.
At Alliance, the course mapping for students across our master and bachelor level programs was done by our faculty members. Students were recommended to focus on their learning from these courses, taking the assessment and finishing them within the stipulated time. Also seek guidance from the assigned faculty members during the progress of their courses. The faculty approach was a blend of didactic role in order to guide students' learning as well as facilitative and be available to assist students as required when they were taking the Coursera courses. Faculty were advised to use student group email IDs to be in touch with their students, conveying to them instructions or other information relevant to the mapped courses that students were taking. Using a frequency of at least one mail a week, faculty ensured that students respond to any course-related activity that they may want them to undertake and revert on. Should faculty wish to interact with their students for clearing possible doubts or resolving any course-related issues, they could organize webinars on a periodic basis. Faculty's perception of importance was significant. Faculty were also requested to enroll in the courses that they were guiding students on to engage with them periodically and keep them motivated through their course progress. Faculty enrollment of all the courses the students were taking helped them know the content and assessments that their students were taking. And this in turn enabled them to give students any activities in line with their progress on the courses. Though these Coursera courses were not for credit, faculty used our own LMS platform to aid in their teaching these online classes for each of their courses to the assigned student cohort. Students were mentored and guided by faculty members. Students' mentorship and guidance was critical in ensuring student progress and monitor their respective course completion. We also created a collegial atmosphere of sharing innovative ideas. Exemplary examples and experiences help faculty be in touch with other faculty colleagues and to share experiences they may prove valuable as they guide their students. So this is how our faculty were completely and comprehensively engaged with their students in learning with Coursera.
This is excellent. So one question I had is, were faculty always used to this kind of environment? Because we had to shift like suddenly, right? How were they prepared to actually kind of move quickly online like this?
Well, this shift was overnight, so online overnight. And we have never used, I would say, this kind of blended teaching in any of our full-time courses. And then the EdTech team, and I'll explain that a little bit later, how they worked with faculty to see that, they are trained and there is a, but then one thing I must tell you that in Alliance, there's faculty governance. So if there's a great buy-in from faculty, everything else falls in place.
Falls in place. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's super critical about how we bring in faculty into this whole buy-in process. Right? What was your success formula at the School of Business, which is, I think, the key discipline where we saw a lot of interest coming in, and in terms of enrollments and completions? Was that student interest? How did that whole thing kind of work through?
Well, I'm glad to share that the largest enrollment, the numbers that you showed, were at School of Business. I'll tell you, since 2019, we've been discussing about the disruption of higher education, whether it would be by technology or demographic shifts. We never thought that it would be a pandemic. We have expressed concerns about some of the defining issues of the early 21st century. We predicted that online education would supplant face-to-face courses, but then this crisis acted as a catalyst that turned online education and remote work into a new normal rather than an exception. Face-to-face conferences have been converted to virtual formats. In fact, at that time, we had three very important conferences in April. Huge swaths of global workforce have begun to work remotely. But then when we planned to implement Coursera for Campus, while we didn't know how fitting the advantages of Coursera Alliance would be for Alliance, we were confident that one way to weather this turbulence is to integrate blended delivery by forming this partnership that shares content resources, technological knowledge, and using our faculty expertise that would improve student outcomes and help us stay ahead of disruptions in the field. So the course mapping that I was talking about was to a great extent for School of Business. And therefore, focusing on the pedagogical dimensions, our instructional design model used the ADDIE principle: analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluation. Faculty mapped Alliance course outlines content to Coursera course contents. And they arrived at an assessment of the quantum of coverage done by Coursera course. They used a coverage formula to arrive at the percentage of coverage. For example, if they found that there is 76 to 100% coverage at courses, then they did engage students with 3 online classes. If it was 51 to 75, then 6, and so on. So based on their assessment of coverage, the Dean's Office arrived at the number of online classes faculty will teach for each course. Faculty use the LMS platform to engage in these online sessions. We also created a strong governance structure for Coursera for Campus for a quick turnaround on this. Everybody collectively supported. I'll take you through the leadership team, which was, of course, all the deans. Dr. Ray played a very important role, who leads the School of Business. Dr. Reba Kora, who's the Dean of College and Engineering and Design, again, led the engineering school's involvement. Dr. Kiran Gardner, she's the Dean of School of Law. Dr. Vivekanand, who's a Dean Research, he also integrated some of the Coursera courses to doctoral students, and also to develop faculty on how to write patents and so on. We integrated Coursera even for our exec PGDM program, and Professor Arunabhas Bose, he's the program director of executive PGDM. So this is a leadership team, which actually, we call it the pedagogy group, focused on instructional design. The dean's offices at each school also designated 2 liaisons on campus who functioned as co-captains for the working being done. We formed an EdTech team, which you can see at the next slide, that tracked the course development process at each school. The EdTech team arranged for online training programs with the help of our IT department on the usage from the LMS platform for conducting online classes. And they were day in and day out, constant touch with faculty. They had WhatsApp group, many training sessions organized, and any query that faculty or students had was attended by them. So, well, this is the formula that we used in the School of Business that led to huge enrollments that you see.
Thank you, Dr. Anuba. And what is also gratifying to see is actually while School of Business obviously shown, but you've also kind of done a lot of work on across disciplines, and all of your deans from various disciplines sort of came together, which is great to see. So when you now think about having experienced Coursera and the online blended delivery model as part of the campus, what do you see are the key outcomes that you think that you hope to gain by actually using this methodology of teaching?
Well, if I have to say in just one phrase, it's learning uninterrupted. Our students have been very appreciative of our efforts in ensuring their learning has not been disrupted. And this world-class collaboration that we have scripted with Coursera has been very valuable. One of the valuable outcomes was upskilling students and building an impressive resume that becomes attractive to prospective recruiters. Organizations see graduates who are equipped with job-oriented value-added skills. So to leverage the platform to the fullest, the Career Advancement and Networking team highlighted the relevance of high-quality value-added courses that students must take to ensure that their employment opportunities are enhanced. As Ramya was talking about it, based on hiring trends, a skill and industry demand matrix was shared with students, and they were recommended to choose and pursue courses across different areas based on their interest, desire to upskill in emerging areas, or stream of study. Students were asked to have a few value-added certifications to enhance their professional profile and build an impressive resume that becomes attractive to prospective recruiters. After completion of each course, they had to upload copies of the course certificates or the credentials on the ERP platform so that it can be viewed by the Career Advancement and Networking team and faculty members across the university.
Thank you, Dr. Anubha. The reason I find the Alliance story fascinating is you've taken a holistic approach and not just thinking about this as just an academic integration or just as a blended delivery model. It's about really how do you drive outcomes for the student and get them ready for their careers and things like that, which is like working with your careers team and career services team. And that's extraordinary. So how do you think about it now with this experience that you have? What's the future looking like in terms of building out a resilient blended delivery model? Is this here to stay? How are you thinking about it?
Well, Bibin, we all know that the education industry, especially in India, was slow in terms of digital disruption. And this crisis has just accelerated the pace. Like most everything else, higher education is being tested. It's possible that once the danger has passed, institutions will simply return to living as we did before, but that seems unlikely. As educators, we have choice in what lessons we learn from the current disruption. Our current crisis is a chance to explore possibilities, not to destroy traditional or conventional teaching, but to evolve it, to seize the opportunity to reinvent the educational environments our students need to thrive in the future of work, as uncertain as it may be today. But when we do return to campus, we will do so with a new understanding of what technology makes possible and what it cannot replace. One change sure to come from this crisis is that we will need to rely on one another to emerge intact on the other side. And that's where platforms like Coursera are extremely valuable.
Thank you. And the final question I have before we sort of turn it back is in terms of how are you thinking about it from a Coursera platform perspective, and what are you thinking about for the next academic year in terms of partnering with platforms like Coursera?
You saw a glimpse of the Coursera model, Alliance Coursera model, which I presented here just a few minutes back. Though the Coursera model presented here within a typical instructional design format, including the analysis, strategy, development, and evaluation phases, it is not designed to replace any particular instructional design model. It is designed to work alongside alongside other instructional design models in order to take into account decisions which are specific to the development of pedagogically effective e-learning environments. That's what we need to focus on. While the development and utilization of online technology continues to grow to include more sophisticated virtual environments for learning, the pedagogical dimensions will undoubtedly need ongoing revision. We have to be, very focused on that. And also, keep us updated by ongoing research into quality e-learning. The future of work is speculative. The future of higher ed is speculative, but will certainly require agility, fluent use of technology, and willingness to seek out new ways of communicating, learning, and connecting with students. Collaborating with programs like Coursera can help every program react more quickly to industry trends, especially.
Absolutely, and that's our hope and vision too, in terms of when we work with universities about how do we sort of work in conjunction with the years of experience that have been built by the universities in terms of instructional design, and how do we sort of infuse a new energy into it? And that's really what our hope is. So before I sort of hand it back to Ramya, last question, which I kind of wanted to, there's a lot of people in this audience who are at various stages of figuring out how to work with a platform like that. And I know you covered a lot of ground, but if you had to sort of simplify it and say 3 things that they should be probably looking at from making something like this successful. I know we probably didn't speak about this, but I'd love to hear your perspective.
Well, I would say blended learning would be my first mantra here. The second would be that be patient. 3, prepare your faculty to quickly adapt to a new environment. Faculty are experts. They know the subject. They've been delivering day in, day out all through the years. But then it's just the format which is blended. If they want to do it, they will do it. So that's what I would say to other institutions. That's a message. So talk to your faculty about it and you'll be successful.
Thank you, Dr. Anuba. This was really insightful, the way Alliance has actually thought through all of this in such quick time to actually kind of transform the way you teach.
I do want to thank everyone for attending today. I'd also like to thank our special guest,